And he apologized profusely, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I hope she gets an abortion. I was like, what? Because he's staying with me. It was like a competition thing. And I was just like, can I actually break up with this guy? Hi girlies, welcome to the first episode of my podcast Exes and Glow, where we talk about our past romantic relationships and experiences and how we can grow from them, what we learn from them, and how we get to glow up. I hope you enjoy and like and subscribe if you do, and let's get this started. Previous experiences have helped me know exactly what it is that I want in a husband. So I'm glad that I found my husband when I found him, but there was still a lot of heartaches along the way. The reason I decided to start this podcast is because I always thought I would have daughters. I don't have daughters. I have sons. I have two sons. They're still babies, toddlers. But I always thought when I was dating that I would have a daughter or two and that I would want to share with them my experiences and everything that I went through in the dating world, because it is so painful. It can be painful, and I would hurt knowing that they would have to go through that. I mean, it's something that everyone has to go through, but I figured that if I can give them a little bit of my knowledge, maybe they will be more resilient or maybe more knowledgeable going into it, which is why I've always wanted to do what I'm doing right now. But I got sons, so I don't have any daughters. But it is still relevant because I can still help other young girls out there in the dating world currently, and be able to recognize some things that sometimes don't pop up right in our heads, that this is a red flag. This is like something that you should avoid at all costs. When I was dating, I have sisters. I have about, let me see, I have four sisters. And we didn't really talk about dating. We never did, actually. I saw them date, and by the time I started dating, they were already, almost everybody was out of the house and living their own lives. So I did not really have someone guiding me into this. And I will explain a little bit later why. It's gonna be more relevant because I'm not from America. I'm from Africa, specifically Congo, and the dating culture over there is very different. So I just want to go over that. I'm going to share like I said, my experiences, my past experiences, and it's a very vulnerable moment because I'm going to share some things that I might not have been comfortable sharing before, and it's still a little bit like cringe, but I think this is going to help a lot of people and I want to do it. I also want to specify that I am not a relationship coach. I am not a therapist or anything like that. Everything that I'm sharing is about me and my own experience, and I don't expect everything to be take this with a grain of salt. Not everyone is gonna fit into what I'm talking about, but a few things I'm pretty sure might be very helpful to some of y'all. Let me start with where I'm from. Like I said, I am from Africa, specifically Congo, the Republic of Congo, Congo Brazzaville. And I was a very shy kind of girl, emotional, you would say. You would call me an emotional child from today's standards. Back then in Congo, they would probably call me a chicken. But I was rather emotional, keeping things to myself. But back then, I don't know if it has changed much, but in the 80s, early 90s, in my country, parents sent you to school to study and not to make friends. So they're not gonna ask you about how you feel about your school. They're not gonna ask you how you feel about your teachers, how you feel about the other children in your class, in your classmates. How do you feel about them? That's not what they're concerned about. They just want to make sure that you get good grades. So as long as you do that, everything else is pretty much irrelevant. So I would say very many years in, well, the whole elementary school, I was miserable at that school. I can't remember that I made a single friend in elementary school. I felt isolated at times, and I could not really talk about it to my parents because that was not the main concern. they wanted their daughters or their children, all the children, to get the best education possible from the best school, get good grades and everything else, well, whatever. That did not really help with my grades actually, because while I was a smart child, I didn't thrive in environments where I didn't feel included or understood. So I would be in my corner doing my own thing, and my grades were average. I was actually stressed going to work. To school. It was stressful for me to go to school every morning. I was just stressed, and it's a stress I got used to because I had to, and off I went. It is what it is. I went to school and I was average in elementary school. And then in 6th grade, I went to a different school, 6th and 7th grade, and everything changed. I made some friends. I liked the school, I liked the environment, and my grades got better. And that's also where I had my first, I wouldn't say dating, that was not really dating, but like a crush kind of situation that turned out really weird. I have to say that every year since I went to school, I had a crush on a different guy. Every year it was a different guy, a different person. I usually never talked to that person, never spoke to them. It was just a crush that I had, as a child. Sometimes you have those kind of things. It happens. And when I was in 6th and 7th grade, one of my classmates he was a player. He would date, 2-3 girls at the same time. But he was cute. And I had a crush on him, and I think I probably said that to one of my friends there, and she spoke to his friend over there, and then it fell into his ear that, hey, she has a crush on you. So him and his buddies decided to set up something, I guess, like a meetup after school, after class. And I have to say, I was very shy and I freaked out. I know, maybe it was stupid, I don't know, but I just freaked out and just didn't show. I didn't go to meet him or whatever. I just went straight home because I was terrified, I like to have crushes in my head, not, in person, or it was weird to me and embarrassing. So, and I was a teenage girl. Come on, we go through so much emotionally, physically. I just got stressed and I freaked out and I didn't show up. Well, the next day, they didn't appreciate it. His buddies did not appreciate it and gave me a very bad time about it, like being mean verbally in the classroom, and violent actually, because by the end of the class, at the end of the session, or at the end of the class, his cousin, who was there too, came straight to my face and slapped me in front of everybody. Yeah, very weird. Sorry, that's my cat. Sometimes they sound like people. And he slapped me, and I slapped back because, you slap me, I'm gonna slap you back, for sure. We didn't really fight other than that, and well, I think I was so offended I slapped him, and I wanted to give him more of his own medicine. But we ended up at the principal's office, and after I explained the situation, they called his parents, and he got punished. My school was just about 5 minutes walk from home, so I was on my way home walking, and they decided to follow me and throw rocks at me. And I turned around because I was sick of it and I wanted to fight back, and I threw a rock. And just as I turned around, the rock hit my eye right there, my right eye, and I was bleeding and crying, and they ran away. And a stranger who saw the whole thing stopped by and helped me, and he wiped my blood and he helped me get home safe. And I told my dad about it, and he was very upset, as any dad should be. And the next day at school, I was there with him, and they got in trouble. The boys got in trouble, and they apologized. So yeah, that was my first experience with romance, kind of me having a crush. But we were kids, so at this point I don't really hold it against them, because I saw them a few years later, and they were just weird kids. That's about it. So I don't hold a grudge against them.
Hey, sorry for interrupting the episode, but I have to take a moment to thank our sponsor. I'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by blueromarin.com, BLUEROMARIN.com, the company that specializes in vacation rental management. When you think about going on vacation, the last thing you want is to get stuck outside of your Airbnb because your door code is not working and you are unable to reach your host because they are busy with kids, work, or just doing something they are more passionate about. You know how it is, people are busy. This is why blueromarine.com is the best solution, whether you're a guest or a host and you want a smooth, stress-free solution. You can make your reservation directly on the website with a professional team that is dedicated to ensuring that you have the best time and get the most out of your vacation. If you are a host and are ready to hand off the day-to-day tasks of taking care of messaging, coordinating cleanings, restocking, and more, they are ready to take over all the men and extra stuff so you can enjoy what you've been working so hard for, your freedom. Go to blueromarine.com. It's blueromarin.com and take advantage of the special offer they have for new hosts who are looking for help with their rentals. Book a discovery call now, you won't regret it.
But this just to say that every year I had a crush on a different guy, but I made sure that this guy was unreachable. Like, it was always someone who was a grade or two above me at school, and someone that I never really like had any interaction with. Like, I just knew the name. That's about it. I don't know if it was shyness, I don't know if it was fear, but that's what it was. And the other thing too, I don't know if it was the same thing in Africa as a whole, but in my country, dating is, it's not done like in the US. We don't really have like, call it like dating. It's more like courting. Yeah, so maybe that's why I was just having those crushes and never really getting into a relationship. It was not appropriate anyway, back home to be 15 or 16 and dating. It's not encouraged and it's not well seen. Whether it's with your family or the people at your school, if you say that you're dating, you're like automatically a hoe or an easy girl. So, yeah. So that contributed to everything. Fast forward to when I turned 18. I got my high school degree, my high school diploma, and I had a hobby, something that I really, really like doing. I like to sing so much that I decided to join a band. My cousin was in a rap band. I don't know why I say a rap. It was a real rap band. I guess locally they were known, kind of. They were known in the neighborhood. And yeah, my cousin was in a rapper in a band, and he heard me sing and he was like, you should totally join a group. Like, you should join a band. So I joined, and that's what I was doing. I loved it, and I loved singing. So it made me happy, so I went and did that. Eventually my cousin traveled. He left the country to go study abroad, and I was in this band with only guys and I was the only girl. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable at first, but after a while I considered them my brothers. They were like my buddies, really. And until it became weird because the leader of the band, he tried to hit on me, like telling me that he liked me, and that felt so weird because first of all, he was not my type at all. I was not attracted to him, and I felt like it would make things awkward with the band. So I declined his advances, but I think he didn't really like it because he became a sourpuss about it. And in the meantime, he and someone else in the band were becoming good friends. He was 6 years, was it 6? Yeah, I was 18. Yeah, I think he was 5 years older than I was. And we were clicking. We were, like, the banter was good. He was funny. Yeah, I liked funny people. Like, if you make me laugh, I don't care if you're ugly. If you make me laugh, I want to be your friend. He was hilarious. He was cool. He had like a little rapper swag on, a little bit like, bad boyish kind of vibe. Just the vibe, like, not that I heard he was a bad boy, but he was cool. He was a cool cat. And we were vibing like that for a couple of months, and eventually we realized that it was more than that and we had feelings for each other. So we started dating, kind of hiding it, but the people in the band could sense, they could feel that something was going on here. And well, the leader of the band, the one who wanted to date me, did not like it at all, did not appreciate it. So the tension became even worse. So we decided to break from the band, the two of us, and do our own thing. And yeah, and that's what we did for a while. It was just him and I, and we were like singing, and he had equipment at his home because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to open his own recording studio. And as a cool girlfriend, I mean, I'm only gonna support that, you know. Go ahead, do your thing, we do our thing, and that was it for a little while. But as time passed, I learned more about him, and I would say he was a nice person, but not so nice. He was controlling. If he saw me speak to another man for a minute, he would feel completely insecure. The thing is, in Congo, jealousy and possessiveness is actually a good thing to have towards your partner. It is actually expected. That's pretty much everything I saw. It was normal. So to me, it was, oh, okay, well, he's jealous. It just means that he loves me. That's about it. I mean, obviously, he does not love me if he's jealous. And that's how it was. I was going to college and working part-time, and when we met, every time we met, he would check my phone. He would see who I texted, who texted me, and ask me questions about guys that were around me. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that while he wanted to become a successful at whatever he chose to do in the music industry, and even though that's what he chose to do, I felt like he was not giving himself, he wasn't giving everything he had to be successful. So I noticed a lack of ambition. We're not equally yoked that way. Even though his parents were also educated, it didn't look like education was like a priority for him, and not even that, like getting a job was not on his radar, because he talked a lot about getting married. He wanted to get married. Me, as I was in my head, I was just dating. Even though it's not very common to date in Congo, in my head, this is like a cute, kid relationship like we see on TV sometimes, in like cute little TV shows with girls who talk to guys and they kiss and they hang out and they have fun. To me, that was fun. But as things were getting serious, and it's the culture in Congo, you don't just date to date, you court to end up getting married. I thought about it and I was like, I guess we're in that trajectory. We are in that thing, so that's eventually it's gonna happen. I'm gonna get married to this man. So I better get used to it. And when I think about it, I'm starting to notice all the things that I don't really like about him, about his character, because I didn't pay much attention before, because I was like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, yeah, it's uncomfortable, okay. But now I'm thinking about, like, wait, am I gonna get stuck with that? Someone who's possessive, someone who doesn't have much ambition. He says he wants to marry me and he says he wants us to have kids together, but I'm not seeing anything that will make me be excited about getting married to him. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about it now, and yeah, obviously, yeah, you should have just dumped him. But for some reason, the man was hard to dump. It's not like I didn't try. We broke up multiple times and we would get back together. And eventually I introduced him to my dad. And one thing I want to mention, because I was so shy and stressed and nervous about the whole having a boyfriend thing, I was literally shaking like talking to my dad, because it was just weird. Like, it's never something that we brought up. We like never talk about when you have a boyfriend or this or that. It was almost taboo. And my mom, it was the same thing. Like, yeah, we never really, like, when I had my period, my mom just told me that, hey, you can get pregnant now. That's about like the closest thing to dating and relationship that we talked about. That was it. So yeah, I told my dad that I was dating someone, and I was surprised, but he took it very well. He was, thank you so much for trusting me with that information. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him. And I was like, what? Okay. Well, that was easy. And he met him, and my dad didn't say anything as far as approval or not approval. I think he was just happy that his daughter came to him and said that she was in a relationship with someone. So he appreciated the trust, I think, that I had in him. But yeah, I actually wish that he had gotten to know him a little bit better. The whole time, my dad never like sat with him and talk about his goals in life or things like that. maybe I just don't remember, but as far as I can remember, I don't remember them talking like that. But I think we were like 3 years in the relationship, and his parents and my parents met because it's custom in Congo. Like when you are in a serious relationship like that, first of all, when you're in a relationship, it's like you're married. Like you brought it to your parents' attention, that means you're getting married. So they met and it went well, even though I was still not sure that I was gonna marry this guy. I was just going with the flow, I guess. But I knew I could not. Yeah, it was very weird. You know, when you were 18, 19, by that time I was probably in my early 20s. You don't really, you have zero experience, and nobody was telling me, this guy is weird, or he's like, why does he do that? Why does he like, yeah, I mean, I was not, first of all, I was not even confining in anyone. But that's what he wanted to do, and I was like, okay, well, you do you, I support you, okay, sure, sure. And when he wanted to spend a lot of time with me, he wanted to spend a lot of time together, and transportation takes money. Sometimes I was working and I would pay for things. I would pay to go see him, and I would pay sometimes when we went out. Not all the time, though, I have to be fair, but sometimes, and that's okay. But just to say that his business was not working at all, and he was not looking for anything else. But you want to get married, you want to be a husband and a father, but you can't even support yourself. So you're expecting you think you'll be able to support a wife and a child, because you wanted to have children eventually. And one day, out of the blue, I was not expecting it. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. I got a phone call from a girl who pretty much just, as soon as I picked up, she insulted me. She said something like, leave my man alone, blah blah. She didn't give any name. She didn't say anything other than to leave her man alone, and maybe like call me like some weird name and hang up. I thought that was so weird, so strange, and I brought it up to him. I told him about the situation, that a girl called me and she called me names on the phone, and he was like, that's weird, I don't know what's going on there. So I trusted him, and I just moved on. I also have to say that in my head, this man was a different breed. There's a lot of cheaters in Congo, a lot, almost everyone cheat. But I don't know why, for some reason, I thought he was different. He was. I mean, we vibed on so many things. He was fun, and I was never suspicious of anything. Like, we were together all the time. I never saw him like flirt with another girl. He never made me uncomfortable like that in situations. So I had no reason to think that this was a girl he was messing with. And then we go back to the time when I totally did not expect it. I arrived to his house and he was sad and crying. I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? Why are you depressed like that? What's going on? Because he had some situations where some episodes where he would be depressed like that. And he tells me, I'm so sorry, but I cheated on you. And I'm like, what? I cheated on you and I got a girl pregnant. I'm like, flabbergasted. I'm like, you cheated on me? On me? You cheated on me? It's like, yes, I'm so sorry, she's pregnant. So I was shocked. And it wasn't the fact that, oh man, I love this man so much. How could you break my heart like that? I was heartbroken. Let's not lie about that. I was sad. But it was my ego. My ego took a hit. Just thinking about it, it's kinda weird. Yeah. So he got a girl pregnant. And it was a girl who'd come to his recording studio. And he apologized profusely, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I hope she gets an abortion. I was like, what? I want her to get an abortion because I don't love her. I love you, and I don't want that baby, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I was so in shock. I was shocked, like literally, because at this point he just like dropped so low, and I was like, what have you been doing with this guy, girl? You've been wasting your time this whole time. You knew something was off. You knew that you were not a good match, and then you waited until he cheated on you. But I'll say one thing. A lot of men cheat in Congo. A lot of men have kids out of wedlock in Congo. And I mentioned that to my best friend, and she saw me cry, and she saw me sad, and she told me, this too shall pass. You guys can, you can overcome this situation. You can get through it. And yeah, I guess a man cheats on you in Congo, you just throw it in the back of your head and move on. You move on. Those things happen. You have to be strong. You have to be a strong woman. You love him, right? Be strong for him. He doesn't love her. Oh, she's a rival, like we say. She's a rival. You have to show her. Like, it was an ego thing to where I was like, you think you're gonna get my man? No, you're not gonna get him. I'm gonna show you that he loves me. I'm gonna show you that he loves me more. I don't know. I don't even know if he likes you, but he loves me. He loves me, and he's gonna leave you and your child. Look, that was kind of messed up. In my head, I was like, oh, he's gonna leave you and your child, and you will learn your lesson because he's staying with me. It was like a competition thing. Yeah, I mean, it took time for me to think about it like that, but it was completely wrong. It was wrong. And if you ask me today, like something like that would happen, I'd be like, you know what? Go raise your child. She needs you. There's obviously something going on there, like emotionally, and you guys should maybe explore it. So yeah, why don't you just break up with me and go be with her? Because obviously there's something there. That's what I would say today. That's what I would say today. But I didn't have the maturity to process it efficiently. I didn't have the maturity to process that, and instead it was just, I just let my heart, my hurt, the fact that I was hurt, guide me, and my ego. So it became like a competition. So yeah, you're not gonna get my man. No. My man is gonna stay with me, even though I didn't really like the guy that much. But I stayed in the relationship. And you know what? Less than a month later, she lost the baby. She lost the pregnancy. And yeah, she was relieved, obviously. Me, I was like, well, okay. He's not gonna have a child outside of a relationship, so I don't really have a reason, like a legitimate reason to leave him, so we stay together. I tell you. And while this was happening, when I found out that he got another girl pregnant, because his parents met my parents, our relationship was kind of a big deal. So the trajectory will be that we will get married a few years down the road. Because a few years down the road that we will get married. But his parents were upset that he got another girl pregnant, very upset about it, because it's bringing shame to them. And his father took me aside and told me not to tell my family about it, not to tell my parents. And while I appreciated that they were that they were mad and upset at his behavior, I was really offended that they would ask me to keep this secret. It's like I was supposed to go through this hardship on my own. Just like, keep it to yourself, and maybe if you need to talk about it, go talk to uh to my boyfriend's mom. But that was about it. Like, no, that didn't sit right to me at all. That was like, no, 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 no. So you're trying to protect your son, and you're not protecting my mental health is not being protected here. So I said, yes, yeah, I won't tell anyone. But the first thing I did was tell my mom. Are you kidding me? I went and I told my mom, and she told my dad. And my dad called him. They sat down. He came to our house. They sat down, and my dad was so upset. He was so upset. And yes, that was after she lost the baby. But yeah, he was upset. And I was happy that he was like talking to him and like putting some making things right for me, because I didn't have a big brother that could like shake him up a little bit. So my dad was that, and he did that, and I was like, yeah, you tell him that. You tell him he messed up big time, son. He made a mess of everything. He did. I still stayed with the guy, though. I still stayed, but yeah, you just have to go through these things to understand. And I just didn't have much respect for him after that. I didn't have a lot of respect or a lot of love for him. I feel like I was just being there to be there, and that was until things eventually faded out on their own. I went abroad to study, and we kept in touch for like maybe like a month or so, and eventually it fizzled out, and we were broken up. Ooh. We had broken up throughout the relationship. We had broken up multiple times, but he would never just let me go. He would say things like, I can't live without you. I nobody can love you the way that I love you, which is obviously false. Those kind of manipulative things like, oh, I will just, myself if you left. I wondered why I didn't leave sooner, but I remember now it was because of these little manipulation things. Like, you're gonna kill yourself, or he didn't have the best relationship with his parents to begin with. It's like he was alone. At least that's the impression he gave me. He was like alone in this world, and I was like his only anchor, something that was like bringing him happiness, like his only happiness. That's what he told me. The only thing in this world that it had that brought a smile to his face. So in my head, I'm like, if I cut that off for him, I'm like his blood supply, and if I cut it off, what's gonna happen to him? So even though I stopped having romantic feelings towards him, I still had empathy, and a lot of it. And after he cheated on me, I felt like this was misplaced. Like, I'm making sure that you're okay, like emotionally and stuff, and that's how you're treating me. Like, you don't really love me. You say all these things, and at the end of the day, you do that to me. Like, you're only anchor here. You treat me like that. So, yeah, that was a big, 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 big thing. And I remember that one time he had issues with his parents, and he moved out, and he lived in a bad place. Like, he got a studio somewhere. There was literally like a room. It was a room. There was no kitchen. The bathroom was outside. He was still going to the studio. He still didn't have a job, so I don't know. He saved enough money to pay like for a month of rent or two. And just it was a really bad situation, and he got sick with malaria, and I was there for him. I took him to the doctor, to the hospital, and he got sick. And I mean, I don't want to go into details of what I had to do while he was sick, but I was there. I was supportive. And I think that was after he cheated. Yeah, that was definitely after he cheated. And I was just like, can I actually break up with this guy? I can't break up with. Look at him. He's like cut off from his family. He's sick. He's like, nothing is going well for him right now. So I don't know if I can like break up with him. Yeah, and now that I say this out loud, I'm like, because sometimes I wonder, why didn't I break up with him sooner? And it was just those little things. Check my time. But yeah, I don't want to make the video too long. But you just, I don't, every time I wanted to break up with him, there was something. There was something like, oh, I feel bad. I shouldn't break up with him right there and then. So that's why it took so long. And the other thing I forgot to mention, he was possessive, controlling, but sometimes he would ask me, like, tell me like random things like, oh, I heard you were somewhere last night at this time. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, he was making up things just to try to catch me into a lie. And this was, I mean, obviously not true. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Where did you see me? Like, were you there? And he said, no, a friend saw you. Like, what friend? He would not give me the name of the friend. So I'm like, am I going crazy over here? Like, manipulative. That was very, very uncomfortable. And one thing too, because he was my first boyfriend, and he was the first person I had relations with. And I told him I was a virgin, and he was like, oh, okay. And until we did it the first time, he told me, oh, I didn't believe you were a virgin until we did it. And in my head I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, I thought you were just lying or pretending to be a virgin until we did it. That's when I saw that you're a virgin. So this right there, big red flag. Like, so this whole time I'm talking to you, you think I'm just telling you a bunch of lies? What? And I'm telling something so personal, because I never talk about those kind of things with anybody else. Like, I was a wall before that. Nobody ever knew if I was or not. It was like none of their business. That's how defensive I was about my privacy. And I open up to you, and then like literally, like intimately to you, and the whole time you didn't believe me. I should have ended it right there after the first time. Right there and then. But I didn't know better, so I kept going for more. There are so many lessons that can be taken out of my story here. Someone who wants to spend so much time with you to the point where he sometimes asks you to skip school to be together, red flag. Big red flag, because that means he doesn't have your best interest at heart. That is none of his business. He's thinking only about himself. He's only thinking about himself when he's asking you to leave everything else that's going on in your life to spend time with him. Big red flag. And another thing that I learned from this is you should talk about your relationship to people, because you might be in a situation where you think it's normal and it is absolutely not normal. Talk about your relationship and your man to people you trust, your sister, your mother, an aunt, a best friend, someone who has a good example of an example of a good relationship in their lives, so they can tell you if this if what you're going through is normal, if what he's doing is normal. Because too many times I have been manipulated into staying with this guy. And if someone threatened you that they would end themselves if you leave. Absolutely leave. They were alive and well before you, they will be alive and well after you. Do not take emotional manipulation. Protect yourself, because those kind of people are dangerous. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say too, sometimes you see things like signs and you think that means that you're meant for each other. That's BS. Signs don't exist. Signs when it comes to romantic relationships are BS. It is utter BS. And this will come only with experience and time, I guess. As you get more confident in yourself and your abilities, and you trust yourself even more, you will realize that getting in a relationship is, let's say, I would say it's 70% your head and 30% your heart. And I might get judged for that. I don't care. It is the truth. The person that you're gonna be not only the happiest with, but the person you're gonna have a successful relationship with, you will have a lot of this taking charge. Your head. A lot more than your heart. You need some heart. But you need this. You need your head. Because without your head, you're gonna end up in some terrible, terrible situations. Trust me. All right, that was it. Thank you for taking the time to listening to me today and everything I had to share. And I hope this is gonna be helpful to you. If you have a friend who could benefit from this, please feel free to share. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content. Like, leave a comment, give your opinion. This is not one-sided. I wanna see what you guys have to say about it. And until next time, bye.